Okay, so today we're going to discuss, first thing we're going to discuss is Medicare patients, Medicare maintenance, Medicare caps, so that we are all on the same page on what to do with our Medicare patients and them reaching their caps and whether to continue, whether to decide to go beyond the cap, whether to stop them, whether to go on the maintenance plan. Or whether to restart their threshold amount. So I'm going to start by just describing so that we're all on the same page with what Medicare's threshold is and what the maintenance plan is. So Medicare's threshold is a monetary amount that equates to around 30 visits for us. What happens after those 30 visits are used is that Medicare doesn't stop the patient, but starts reviewing their records to ensure that they are being seen for something that's medically necessary, that takes the skill of a licensed physical therapist to continue care. Okay, so going beyond the 30 is not forbidden, but it needs to be not taken lightly either. Meaning, if you have a patient that truly can make progress, can hit goals that you and the patient have come up with, then you can continue beyond the 30 visits. But it has to be very well documented, with objective measures, with goals, both short-term and long-term, that are meaningful and that are met. And if you decide to go beyond the 30, you need to let the front desk know, so the front desk doesn't keep telling the patient, you have 3 visits left, you have 2 visits left, you have 1 visit left. So you all can see the flow sheet and can see when the 30 is starting to wind down. So you need to make a clinical decision on whether or not you want to go beyond the 30 for that condition. And discuss it with the patient and discuss it with the front desk. Now, if you feel that they won't make any more gains beyond the 30, then one of 2 things must happen. You must either discharge the patient to a home program or self-pay, or put them on a maintenance program. And Medicare maintenance is what we discussed last time, or a few times ago, where again, it has to be well documented, but the documentation shows that the patient will absolutely regress without the skill of a licensed physical therapist. So they're not going to necessarily make any gains, but if they were to stop skilled PT, they would go backwards. And again, your documentation must show that. Because any visit beyond the 30 will be reviewed by Medicare. And at a later time, Medicare will decide whether or not they will take back the payment or keep the payment. They'll pay, but then decide later to either recoup or let it continue going, okay? If you want them to continue on a maintenance program, we're gonna call it MPP on the flow sheet, MMP, Medicare Maintenance Program. It's gonna need a prescription, and the countdown will follow the prescription, okay? So if the prescription says twice a week for 6 weeks, you get another 12 visits. And then if you get another prescription for another twice a week for 6 weeks, you get another 12 visits, okay? But again, each of your daily notes and your progress notes must show that without what you did today, they're gonna go backwards. And you must let the front desk know so that they can put them, there's a way to indicate it on the EMR so that there's a countdown that's a Medicare maintenance program.
So if they're going beyond the 30, but I'm basically saying that they're gonna do the MMP plan, should they say, I'm going beyond the 30 doing the MMP plan? Or they saying like, I'm going beyond the 30 means they're doing the maintenance program? Cause you know, sometimes we've been going beyond the 30, but just beyond GPKX. And I'm asking, is that, with them just saying, I'm going beyond the 30 or so and so, should that mean, to us that they're doing the maintenance program, or they have to say, like, we're doing the maintenance?
Yeah, so the PTs will tell you that. That's why if it's going beyond the 30, because they still need PT, there'll just be a countdown, according to the prescription. But if it's the maintenance program, it's the countdown called MMP. Okay, so it's an MMP countdown according to the prescription versus a countdown with the prescription.
Just for beyond.
Just for beyond, okay? And that countdown goes according to the prescription. The prescription is 3 times a week for 6 weeks. You get 18 visits of just beyond, okay? We were indicating, and we can continue to, GPKX plus, okay? So that's what it looks like on the flow sheet, GPKX plus. So your flow sheet either says GPKX, which is the normal before the 30, GPKX plus, which is continuing skilled PT beyond the 30, or GPKX MMP, Medicare Maintenance Plan.
One more question.
Yeah.
And then to go into the prescription part of it, the progress notes that we sent out, that was still falling into the line of using that as our prescription.
Correct. So that's why we've been sending those out, so that we don't have to rely on the patient getting the prescription every time. When we send a progress note, we're telling the physician what we're doing and how the patient's doing and all that. The physician's then either agreeing or not agreeing and signing it.
And then we use that as their new countdown, and then once that goes on, then.
Correct, which is why every 10 works out, because hardly any prescriptions are less than 10 visits. Okay, so hopefully there's enough of overlap. Now, we have, coming so late in the year, we have now Medicare patients coming back for completely different conditions. You were seeing them in March for knee pain. Well, now it's October and they have a shoulder issue. They haven't used up their Medicare, okay? They will get a whole new set of the medically necessary Medicare threshold. So we start with a whole new 30, okay? But there must be a prescription, okay? So that's why you're seeing patients come in but it can't be related. So I don't want to see a knee and a right knee and a right hip patient. It's going to be really hard to defend medical necessity and strength deficits in the right quad for a right knee versus a right hip, right? Unless it was like trauma or surgery or injury. But if it was like right knee pain in March and now it's right hip pain in October, it's not impossible, but it's more challenging. So know that in your documentation. I'm playing devil's advocate and sitting in Medicare's seat right now and saying, why didn't you address their right hip during their right knee pain? Devil's advocate, okay? Of course, there's a way to justify that, but keep that in mind that you have to justify that, okay? So this is where our clinical skills are really gonna play a big part. Our clinical documentation are gonna play a big part in getting this passed through Medicare, which is why we should get AI documentation. Any questions on that? Is that clear? So there's gonna be open communication between PTs and front desk. I want to see communication back and forth on what's happening next. So whenever I see on the schedule now, patient has 3 visits left, I'm going to assume there was a conversation between PTs, front desk, and patient. That it truly is 3 visits and this patient is out.
No, only because I also, maybe you guys don't really like pay attention to the number of visits on the flow sheets. If you're unsure, you can use the schedule, cause we always write it when they hit their, maybe like their last 10, we write it in the appointment. So if you're unsure, if you don't have the flow sheet in front of you and you're unsure of how many visits they have left, you can look on the schedule and like, oh, after this patient has blah, blah, blah visits, and then you can roll out, have a conversation with them and then have a conversation with us.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, because I don't want you, because you said you're gonna take it as that conversation already happened.
If I see 3 visits left, that conversation better have happened.
Like number.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, no, I'm saying,
We
but,
start writing it at 10.
Yeah.
right,
So if you see like 10, 9, that's when y'all should have the conversation and have a conversation with us so that we don't have to put it that low.
right, and that's what I'm saying, if I see 3 visits left,
That means that.
that better mean that you all better have had the conversation already, okay? Of what the next steps are. Sounds good? So I don't wanna be up there and a patient goes, I don't know what I'm doing, today's my last one. That's gonna end starting today. Yeah,
So with a separate condition that starts like a new count, sometimes I've had a patient, they mentioned that they went to a different PT clinic
mm-hmm,
for either the same condition
mm-hmm,
or for a different condition.
uh-huh.
How does that change?
The girls
I
up
usually
front.
tell them to tell them.
Yeah, and the front desk knows already before they come in. If you ever notice a new patient or someone coming in for an eval, their countdown is less than 30, it's because the girls did the math. So we look on Medicare's site, Medicare tells us how much they've spent already. We subtract that amount and calculate the number of visits according to our payment structure. We collect the least amount. So we have the most number of visits for Medicare. So just because they used 4 somewhere else, that doesn't equate to 4 of ours. Usually equates to about 6 of ours, because of the way we charge.
I think I know what Charles was talking about. There was like a patient he had, I can't remember their name, but she told him she went somewhere else, but when we verified on Medicare, it didn't show him it was used. So he had said like, oh, if you told me that it was used before,
Yeah.
but when we gave her a CC and he seen the flow, it was a fresh 30 because when we checked, none was used on Medicare at that time.
So 2 reasons for that, and that's why we always go by what's on the Medicare website and not what the patient tells us. 1, not every clinic bills same day, we do. So if they're behind on their billing, that's a them problem, not an us problem. If she comes in today, we're billing her out today, so our claim will get paid, and the other clinic will get screwed. So we go according to live numbers on the Medicare site, and because we bill by the book on the day, same day. And other places just don't. That's a them problem. Yeah. And then also some places, she may have gone somewhere and said she used her Medicare, but she didn't use her Medicare, but she paid out of pot. I mean, who knows? I don't question other places' billing practices because, well, I like to sleep at night, so. But we follow whatever it says that day is what we take, because we bill that day. And that's it. And when you bill that day, whoever's claims come in first, even if the date of service was 2 weeks ago, if they get our claim before that one, ours gets paid, it's not theirs. So it's not by date of service, it's by date of claim receivable. That's why I'm so like, close out your claim same day or within 24 hours because we bill out same day. Any other questions? These are great. So does that make sense so that we're all sort of on the same page on what to do with our Medicare patients moving forward? Yeah? Okay.
Well, I have a question
Yeah.
about the prescription thing. I know that sometimes we'll fax out of the progress note and we don't get a response back. In these cases, if they're going beyond the 30 and we haven't got a response back, is that okay? Being that we did send our part out, but we don't have a countdown per se because we don't have the duration or range?
In those cases, so 2 things happened in 2025. Medicare released this new rule that the attempt to get a signature from the physician was enough. I know.
That sounds so tricky.
So long as you can prove, which we can, because we have fax confirmation pages, if so long as you can prove that you tried to tell the physician, that was enough. I mean, how that makes any kind of clinical sense is beyond me, and just goes to show how like messed up the whole medical system is. But that was a 2025 ruling that just came out, which is why I'm so adamant also that the girls send out the faxes, just send it out, because if we get audited and we don't have those physician signatures, if we can just show that we wrote the progress note and we faxed it out, we are in the clear. Weird, right?
Things like that.
Yeah.
So will we just?
I would say then for that, you twice a week for 12 weeks, and then at the 10th visit, try again.
Just keep going.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And maybe talk to the patient and try to get a physical prescription. Maybe they're going to see their primary care soon. Maybe they're, because sometimes honestly it's not the physician's fault, it's just that they don't have the administrative staffing to get it executed. So at some point, the majority of these Medicare patients go back and see a doctor. It doesn't have to be the orthopedist that sent them here, but a physician, their primary or whatever the case may be. So a constant reminder. So we have to sort of make a note somehow that we still need a prescription from them.
Yeah, I still put on the,
That they need a prescription.
yeah, regardless of the progress note was sent out, and we did send it out, even though we didn't get a response back, I still put updated just to know that
We need
once we
something.
get one, they'll go back to being great, but it's
Yeah.
still no, considered no progress,
Yeah. But we won't get in trouble by Medicare because we attempted. Yeah, we tried. Like Matilda says, I tried my very best.
Last question. So then, in the event that we're gonna put a patient with Medicare on self-pay,
Yes.
do we write a discharge note and then start, or so everything kind of it's
Just
basically
continues, yeah, because we just stopped billing Medicare.
Okay.
And so a self-pay patient for Medicare is someone that you can't justify continuous true goals and gains, but also you can't really justify that if they were to not have this, they would go like backwards. It's more like the patient wants to continue, it's part of their routine, it's how they, they want the supervision, they feel more comfortable here. That's who's on self-pay with Medicare now. Good. Any questions? Yes.
Is that when they sign like the ABN too?
Yeah. Yes. Any other question? Okay. You can hit pause or hit stop. So one of the things that we've discussed in the past, I've sent out a survey. You guys, thank you for answering the survey. It was all anonymous. I have no idea who answered what. But we, toyed with, changing our schedule to 40 minutes versus 30 minutes, and getting rid of the aides, and just having it one-on-one. And that was for several reasons. One, for financial reasons, right? Aides are very, very, very costly. They're just gonna continuously become more costly. And, we were having complaints both from the PTs and from the patients about the aides, right? You guys, we gotta get them more on board. They're not, bringing in their end of the bargain in terms of like, clinical contribution, and so went back and forth, and for the time being, we're not going to switch over to 40 minutes. So we're going to continue with the having the aides. Having said that, I hear you guys telling me about the aides, and I don't want to say complaining about the aides, but reporting about the aides. And basically the bottom line is we have to come together and as a group, really get them in gear. What does that mean? There's just so much that training that I can do and that Ogechi can do and that the other aides can do. The aides also need to learn your sort of plans, your exercises, your ways of doing things. So please do not shy away from correcting the aides, from telling them what to do, telling them how to do things. If you see something that's not to your liking with the aides, be verbal about it with the aides. It's okay. They're here to learn and to make your lives easier, okay? And if they're not fulfilling those parts, then you need to say something and be forthcoming with them. And then if they're not responsive after you've said something and we've said something, then we can handle the situation. But I'm not here all the time, Ogechi's not here all the time, but we're still getting reports from you guys about like, oh, the aides didn't do this, and oh, the aides didn't set up my patient, oh, aides didn't set up your patient. Say something to that aide at that moment, not right at that moment, but you know what I mean? Like at the end of the shift or at some point during the shift, say something like, hey, you really need to, when a patient comes in, grab that patient, set them up, be a little more, I don't want to say forceful, but assertive, thank you. I was like, that's forceful, is not a good word. Assertive with the aides. That's okay, all right? I'm giving you guys the green light, the please do it. Because yes, we want to have a very family environment here and casual and laid back, but also stuff has to get done, and it has to get done in a professional manner. And so if you feel it's not, and your day is not eased by the addition of aides, but you're not doing anything about it, then it's hard for me to justify continue having them here, right? So giving you the green light, please be a part of their overall improvement. They're also here to learn, right? So teach them the right way to do things. Teach them the right way to do exercises. Teach them the right way to greet patients. One of the things that I learned as an aide was how to interact with patients. I had never even looked or seen a patient prior to being an aide. So that's one of the skills that you learn being an aide, right? So teach them that part too, and to introduce themselves. I've sat there and I've heard oh, I don't know who that patient is. Go find out. It's okay, go find out. They won't bite you, right? So it's okay for you to say that to them. Instead of you giving the aide the answer, if the aide is like, oh, I don't know who that patient is. Instead of you saying oh, that's my patient Joe Smith, you should say, why don't you go ask them who that is? It's giving them the confidence and the okay to go and interact with the patient and become one with the patient, okay? But if you just keep giving them the answers and be like, I'll take care of it, don't worry, I'll set them up, oh, that's Joe Smith, or that's not gonna give them any of the skills that they're supposed to be here to learn and that they're supposed to be doing to ease your day here, right? They're here to ease your day. Does that make sense? So keep that in mind. They're physical therapy aides. They're here to aid you. Yes? But we also have to teach them how to be the best that they can be. Any questions on that? Okay, so so we're not moving, so we're sticking with our schedule of 30-minute appointments and 1 hour evals like we've had. But there is going to be a change in the schedule. So, up until now, we've been making all these changes so that we can move towards a more profitable business, so that we can move into the profit sharing realm, so that we can all be part of the growth. And I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for all your contributions, all the extra work in terms of the metrics and the gathering of the data, because it is a lot, I get that. but it also helps you see where you are and where we are and where our patients are. So, you know, I completely understand that it's a little bit extra, but we have some ways to go. We are very much closer to our goals of that, you know, of that profitable business where we're all sharing in the fruits of our labor. But I want it to come quicker, I've seen the change already, and it's getting me very excited. And so I want to get there even faster, if that makes sense. And so one of the major changes that's going to happen up until now, you guys know that you're here for 8 hours a day with a 1 hour paid lunch. So it's 7 hours of patient care, which is not the standard in healthcare. Generally, it's a 1 hour unpaid lunch and 8 hours of patient care. So that's the model that we're moving towards. So it's going to be an 8 hour patient care model. Okay, so you'll still have your 1 hour break, but it'll be an unpaid break. So, what does that mean for the overall practice? Well, one, we're now in line with all the other practices in the world. Two, it means that we'll be able to start hitting our metrics better. This started with like the conversation that we had a few visits ago. Shoshana had brought up that like with our 1 hour evals, and half hour slots, we don't truly have 70 slots available, right, in our day to give to patients. So those metrics are hard to measure, or those metrics are hard to achieve if we don't truly have 70 slots. Well, I have no intention of ever making our evals half an hour. So the way those metrics can be achieved is to have a standard workday, which would mean a couple of extra slots added to your day. A couple of extra slots added to your day would mean overall more space to fit in the patients that are on the wait list, for you to be able to actually hit your metrics. In order to balance that out, I'm introducing what the start of what profit sharing will look like to you guys. So eventually, profit sharing is going to be, you're going to get a percentage of the actual net profit. So according to your salary, whatever salary you have, you'll get a percentage of your salary according to the bracket of what percentage profit that we achieve. So if we have a 10% profit margin, you'll get like, I haven't figured out all the numbers yet, but you'll get like 3% of your salary returned back to you. We hit 15% of the profit margin, you'll get 6% of your salary returned back to you. Does that make sense? But we can't get there yet because we're not at 10% profit margin, we're not at 15% profit margin. But with this increase in number of patients that you will have on your schedule, we will be able to bring in a little bit more, and that more that we bring in is what is going to be shared with you, okay, in terms of bonuses. Is everyone following, kind of, sort of, maybe? So I'm going to distribute what your bonus structure would look like. Still have yours? You have yours? So this is per week. If you see 61 patients or more per week, you get $150 a week. If you see 70 patients or more, you get $200. $100. If you get 75 patients or more, you get $250 a week. If you hit these weekly bonuses, this can equate to an additional between 8 and 13,000 extra a year. Now, right now, even with the way your schedule is on a 7-hour treatment day, you guys are hitting the first tier. Not every time, but some of the time. If you have more slots, you'll definitely hit the first tier. You'll most likely hit the second tier. And the third tier will take some work, but it's worth it. $250 a week. I mean, we're talking about $1,000 extra a month. Now, in total, you'll have 80 slots available in your schedule. So the 75 might be challenging if you have a couple of evals in there. But if you increase your weekly visit frequency, you'll have less evals, and so more ability to hit that higher tier. Does that make sense? Questions so far? By the way, this is all starting December 1st, so not this month and not next month. Questions?
So it comes up to an extra hour of treatment, so extra 2 patients.
Yes. Yes.
I'm assuming you're gonna say, are we adding that to the beginning of our shift, or are we getting rid of our designated?
You don't get rid of your breaks. You'll still have a break in the middle and a break at the end. That will not change. If you are morning shift, you'll be 8 to 5. If you're afternoon shift, you'll be 11 to 8.
I see.
So it'll be added,
To the front or back end?
yeah, depending on whether you're morning or afternoon. Which again is a normal schedule. I had it like this for years as a perk, right? I knew that this is not the norm, obviously, right? Being paid for lunch and documentation wasn't the norm, but it was working, right? I didn't start this practice to become a millionaire. I started it to provide quality care, and so it was working. But it was working when Blue Cross Blue Shield paid $100 a visit. When United Healthcare paid $110 a visit, it worked. But Blue Cross Blue Shield now pays $60 a visit. United Healthcare pays $70 a visit. We're talking about our reimbursements over the years, not just slowly over the last 6 or 7 years. Every year they take a few dollars off, to at the point where we are at half of what we were getting back from the insurance companies. That's a big change. And even with these changes, we're still able to get to that area where we can be very profitable and have a very healthy profit sharing experience amongst the group. And again, I've asked every single one of my PT friends, and you guys can ask your PT friends too. It's the norm to have an 8-hour production day. Any questions? Yeah.
This is like not necessarily something you can answer.
Yeah.
But and like it depends a lot on like politics and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, what do you have any like anticipations about like how things will change going even more into the future, like as insurance continues to cut things down.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I do, because I'm very involved on the political side as well, in terms of not like politics, but like lobbying and with the changes in healthcare and what's happening. I don't believe it's going to get worse than this. And then this is with all honesty in terms of like cutting, because I think it took us too long, but I think we finally put our foot down in terms of like cutting of costs. And there are changes being made on the insurance company level, on the corporate level, that they're being more scrutinized. Never in my history of being in PT was United Healthcare under scrutiny for their practices, or Blue Cross Blue Shield. There's a class action lawsuit against Blue Cross Blue Shield right now, as we speak. The APTA put it together. But so they're finally becoming, being put on the microscope, whereas the last, I would say 7-8 years, they kept like shaving off a few dollars, and every year like, oh, another few dollars, until we were like, okay, it is now $60 off of our bottom line. That's half of our bottom line. I think finally people said enough is enough, and there's been now investigations and class action lawsuits. But I don't think it's gonna get better. Like, I don't think our reimbursements are gonna go up from the insurance company, which is why I am now implementing all these other things to supplement our insurance reimbursement to increase our revenue per visit, right? So just one so far is Shockwave. 2 is the changes in the way we bill, the way we submit our CPT codes. All those little changes will slowly help it creep back up. I have lots of plans for 2026, I promise you, where that 120 goal, mark my words, we will hit it. Okay? But we're not gonna hit it with plain insurance reimbursement. That is not gonna get better, but I don't believe it's good. I mean, how much less can they pay us than $60? $60. That doesn't even pay anything. Any questions about either the change in schedule, the bonus system? So this bonus system is not gonna stay forever. This bonus system is gonna stay up until we then transition into the profit sharing. So as soon as we get into the profit sharing mode, we're gonna take this out and put the profit sharing mode in, okay? So starting December 1st, moving forward, you'll always have bonus money. If you know, but look at your numbers, these are hittable. But visit frequency is important. Length of stay is important. Getting your patients to successfully graduate is important. All those things are important. We're here to get the patient better, right? To have them reach their goals. And even in the successful rehab plan, I've been reading through the ones that you guys are writing with the patients. And for the goals, and we can talk about this more at the next staff meeting, but I want you to start thinking about it now. The goals need to be much more specific. Reducing pain, or increasing range of motion, or getting back to their prior level of function, that's too vague. It's too general. It doesn't give them something to work towards. It doesn't encourage them to come in so frequently. Jane, just 1 second, please.
Oh,
Sorry. It doesn't give them something to work towards. So if one of their goals is to pick up their 20-pound bag of dog food from the floor up to the counter, and they can't do it now because they're here for back pain, that should be the goal. so that they're like, I have to keep coming in twice a week, so that I haven't gotten that yet. I haven't been able to pick up that dog food and put it up on the counter. Something that they really want to get to. Picking up their grandchild off the floor. Running their first 5K. You want actual specific goals where they can see that finish line. Reducing pain, there's no finish line. Pain is subjective. Increasing range of motion, okay, but I still have pain. I still can't lift up that bag. Yeah, I can have my shoulder goes all the way up. I still can't pick up that bag of dog food. Their goals should be truly their goals. Why are they here? Why did they seek us out? Why did they seek PT out? What is it that they want? Does that make sense? So less broad goals and more specific, so that A, you can work towards it, B, they can see themselves getting those goals and what they want to achieve and how important it is to come in to get to those goals.
When you say goals, you're talking about like in the documentation, but also on the successful.
I'm talking about the successful rehab plan, like what you're discussing with them, because
Okay.
that's how you're convincing them how important it is for them to come in. When you're telling them to come in 3 times a week for the next 6 weeks, why? To decrease their pain? Okay, sure. But is it to pick up their grandchild from the floor and put them in the crib? That's why I want you to come in 3 times a week for 6 weeks. Because that's what I'm going to work towards with you. Yeah, I'm talking about those goals. I'm talking about how to talk to your patient about, you know what you're doing for them, but do they know what you're doing for them? Can they see themselves in that scenario? Can you help them see themselves in that scenario and see that end result? When you're running a race and you just don't have it in you anymore, but then you see the finish line, all of a sudden you're going, right? Or when you see the countdown on the treadmill or the elliptical and you've got 2 minutes left, I can just do this. It's about seeing the end result and knowing the end result. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions about the schedule, the change in schedule? So that'll be December 1st. And that's when we'll start tracking these numbers. You can start tracking them yourself. I mean, you guys already do it because of the weekly wrap up, so you'll know if you are hitting the goal, coming close to the goal, you've hit the goal. What I will say is keep looking at it, because if you're like 2 away from the goal and one of your patient cancels on a Wednesday, it might be worth reaching out to them to have them come in for Friday, because it could be the difference between $150 and $200 in your pocket, right? Any questions?
So I'm guessing this is more like for full time?
Yeah, we'll discuss your scenario.
Okay.
Yes, but we'll discuss your scenario specifically. No, not you, Liz.
Yeah.
You work here full time. Any other questions?